In this video, I want to discuss the params modifier. So again, I have the code in behind this button. Nothing there yet, but I have a method underneath, and the method declares two parameters. The first is an int. The second is declared as params. So params means a variable length argument. So it has to be declared whatever data type you want, but you have to say that it's an array. So it means a variable length of arguments can be passed in. So when I call this method, I can pass in an int and no strings. I can pass in an int and one string. I can pass in an int and two strings. I can pass in an int and an array of strings. So I'll show you how to do that now in a second. So because no values might be passed in for this string array, don't go ahead and print out like params square bracket 0 in case there is nothing passed in that would cause an exception at runtime. So the way to get the names out from this array is to use your for each loop, because if it's empty, it won't loop, but if there are many strings in there, it will access each one. So it's looping through the array of names, and each time name will refer to each element that's in that array. So now up behind my button, how do I call this method? Now I'm going to declare a number here. Doesn't matter what that is because I'm not using it. Number equals 4. Now I'm calling the method params example. So I must pass in an int, so we'll use number. And I don't have to pass in any strings, so that is valid, what I have there. I'll call it again. This time I'm going to pass in number, and I can pass in one string. I'll call it next. This time I will pass in two strings. So again, I have to pass in the int. Sorry, I have to pass in the int, which I have called number. And this time I could pass in two strings. I'll have Sandra and we'll have John. And then I'll call it one more time, params example. Again, I have to pass in the integer because it's not an optional parameter. It is just declared as an int. So number, and now this time I can pass in a string array. So I have to declare it's a new string, square brackets, it's an array, and now in curly brackets I can specify what each string is. So we'll have Sandra, we'll have John, and we'll have James there as well, semicolon. Now I'll run that there in a second, but the rules are if you have a parameter, if you're using params, a variable length argument, it has to be the last in the parameter list. So I can't have params first and then an int following it. It has to be last. Now to run that, and just check my output. So each time I'm just printing out the name there followed by a space, and I've called that method 4 times, but I'm not printing anything out from the first time there. So we'll just see the names there. Sandra the first time, Sandra and John the second time, and Sandra, John and James there the third time. So that is a params, which is a variable length argument, which you can put as the last in your method parameter list.